All right, back to our breaking news. Steve Bannon receives a 4-month sentence for his contempt of Congress charge. He spoke just moments ago. Let's listen.
By the way, I want to say one thing. I respect the judge. The sentence he came down with today is his decision. I fully respect. I've been totally respectful of this entire process on the legal side. I also want to make one other statement before I talk about a broader topic. More than any person in the Trump administration, I testified before the Mueller Commission for more hours. I testified in front of Chair Schiff in the House Intelligence Committee more than any other person in the Trump administration. I testified in front of the Senate Intelligence, I think more than any, all about the issues related to Russiagate and to all of that, okay? The same process every time. I had lawyers that were engaged. They worked through the issues of privilege, and at that time, I went and testified. And this thing about I'm above the law is an absolute and total lie. Now, more importantly, the judge, today was my judgment day by the judge, and he stated for the appeal, and we'll have a very vigorous appeals process. I've got a great legal team, and there'll be multiple areas of appeal. But, as that sign says right there, can we have the vote sign? On November 8th, on November 8th, there's going to have judgment on the illegitimate Biden regime, and quite frankly, the Nancy Pelosi and the entire committee. And we know which way that's going. Either they've already been turfed out, like Liz Cheney, right, or have quit, like Kinzinger and other the Democrats, or they're about to be beaten like Luria and others, or they will lose their power and become in a minority, and Nancy Pelosi and Chairman Thompson, all of it. This is democracy. This is democracy. The American people are weighing and measuring what went on with the Justice Department and how they comported themselves. They're weighing and measuring that right now, and they will vote on November 8th. They will hang on. They will vote. Hang on. They will know. Can I go ahead and finish? Can I? Thanks. On November 8th, the American people will raise judgment, and we will groom. The Biden administration ends on the 8th evening of the 8th of November. And some other thing is that the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, will end up being the first Attorney General that's brought up on charges of impeachment, and he will be removed from office. Thank you very much.
And that was Steve Bannon there speaking outside the courtroom after receiving a sentence of 4 months. Congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is also outside that courthouse, and he joins us live now. Scott, he received that sentence for defying a subpoena from the January 6th committee, but seemed to have a lot to say there.
Well, let me say this. We were trying to interject some questions into that long stem winder of a speech from Steve Bannon, including why he remained silent, not just at sentencing today, but at trial. He wouldn't answer questions. He touched me by the wrist to kind of shoo the question away, and then moved on, got in his Suburban, and took off with his security. That's the pattern of this case for Steve Bannon. He says a lot outside of court, doesn't take questions from journalists, doesn't speak in the court, didn't speak before the judge at any segment of this criminal prosecution. So he is where he is now, facing a 4-month federal prison sentence, a $6,500 fine, but that sentence is held in abeyance. It can be delayed for quite a while as he initiates and completes an appeals process. The judge gave him that latitude that Bannon, so long as he files the appeal within 14 days, can hold off reporting to prison. That could go months. That could go many months. Steve Bannon's likely going to be a free man for quite a while.
Yeah, he certainly in that statement displayed some humility towards the court and the judge, probably because he knows, come appeal time, you don't want to be sort of shooting off at the mouth about the judge, but that everything else was pretty much on brand, what we're typically used to hearing from him. So that brings me to sort of moving forward. You told us when he has to file for an appeal. Any sort of idea on what grounds he would file for an appeal?
Yeah, they've been seeding this plan throughout the process, almost before the trial, planting these seeds for a likely appeal, arguing executive privilege could apply, that the mandatory minimum that the judge accepted in this case shouldn't have applied. This case is a unicorn. The judge indicated as much, that there isn't a whole lot of precedent for this type of singular, high-profile contempt of Congress case. It's possible Bannon's defense team latches onto that as they make an appeal. But this judge has given Bannon quite a bit more latitude because he allows him to stay free through the appeals process, partaking in his defense, continuing to talk on his daily show to millions of people, and, as has been the case, allowing Steve Bannon to opine before national TV cameras outside the courthouse to make his political arguments. Each time Bannon has talked to reporters outside the courthouse, I've noticed something. He blends in a compliment to the judge or to the jury. That's noteworthy. The judge heard about that during sentencing today, that Bannon has not criticized the court or criticized the jury. That may have been relevant in the leniency shown by the judge in allowing Bannon to remain free. But the 4-month prison sentence was 4 months more than Bannon was arguing for, and nearly what the Justice Department recommended at half a year.
And Scott, you called this case a unicorn, and it is for so many reasons. But similarly, former President Trump was subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. Were he to ignore that, could he also be prosecuted?
Well, we know somebody else is about to be prosecuted for defying the subpoena. Former Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro has also been charged with contempt of Congress for snubbing the January 6th committee. He goes on trial nearly 1 month from today. Same courthouse behind me. So no doubt he saw what happened here. A conviction by a D.C. jury in about 4 hours, if you incorporate the lunch break the jurors took, and you see a judge giving the prosecutors a sentence very close to what they recommended. But there's been no indication in the court filings or in the words uttered by Peter Navarro that he's considering a plea deal. It appears this case is on a trajectory towards a trial right here in 4 weeks. And we'll see if the outcome mirrors what happens to Steve Bannon.
Scott MacFarlane, thank you very much. We appreciate it.